Hey everybody, it's Rob and Joy with Shift Happens, your AI podcast. And hey Joy, how are you?
I am great. What a beautiful day today before
It
the
is. It is.
snow
Oh yeah. Oh, is it supposed to snow?
tomorrow.
Man, okay. Well, I'll enjoy the day for what it is. The dogs are outside, and you're right. It's a very beautiful day, and we're actually live, or we're streaming live instead of pre-broadcast live. So hey everybody. So we're here to talk about AI, and the Shift Happens podcast is all about the shift that is real time happening. Did you hear Elon Musk has filed suit against OpenAI, and basically the suit apparently reads that he believes OpenAI has AGI, and that's I've actually believed that for some time, but it's now a matter of a lawsuit. It's kind of interesting. Did you hear about that?
Yeah. And I think it's going to get real interesting with Google coming out with Gemini and they're being in the news the last couple of days. I mean, there's a lot of things happening right now.
There is a lot of things, a lot of things. A lot of interesting developments and a lot of technology coming down and every week and it just leaps and bounds. The chief engineer, OpenAI, actually posted this morning, it made the news this morning. He posted too that there is some evidence. I believe he said, I can pull up the exact tweet, but let's see here. What did he say? He said, it may be that today's large neural networks are slightly conscious. So when the chief engineer says that, I take that to mean they are conscious. uh,
Yeah.
and that I want to say that my please and thank yous, I feel validated. I always say please and thank you to ChatGPT, but that's lots of stuff coming.
Well, the other thing that came out, and a lot came out this week, but the chip company, NVIDIA,
NVIDIA, yep.
yeah, they're $1 trillion company now. So it's Apple. I think it's Apple, Amazon, or those two are switched, and um, NVIDIA, the chip maker. So you talk about exponential growth to be $1 trillion company. And I don't know how many, of just a few years ago, they were $1 billion company. That should tell you how fast AI is growing.
Truly. It's yeah, and it's out. The cat's out of the bag too. I was talking to somebody recently, and they said, what happens if we get outlawed? And I told them we can actually download the source code for these for large language models onto our laptops and run them on our laptops. The Pandora's box is open. There's no closing it. It's out. It's done. We're
Yeah.
not going back to VCRs. We're not going back to pre-chat GPT. Not happening. Uh,
Tape recorders, 8-track tapes, it's all gone. I know.
Yep,
It's
this
funny.
is
I was thinking, I don't even know why I thought about this, but to your point, I was thinking people don't even know what the Jerry Lewis telethon was about. That's how that's how far we've come. All these things are in our past and we're only looking to the future.
I mean, that's it. So to that end, what does a small business do? What we look to the future. I'm a fan of the quote too that if you haven't already begun or seriously contemplating how to use AI in your business, you're already orders of magnitude behind, if not left behind in some respects. Uh, and so I think the topic we were talking about before the podcast today was what does that mean for a small? What does AI mean for a small business owner? How do you use that from a strategic point of view? Any thoughts on that?
Well, one of the things that I noticed, which kind of really hit home for me, is we've talked about being on Chat GPT for a year, over a year. Well, they came out with this new program, and I went to a summit, not, I mean, I watched a summit for women in AI, and this program was mentioned. So, of course, I thought, oh, I'm going to try it out. This is what this is what I found. I've been on Chat GPT for so long that the answers are so specific to me that going to a different program or a new model of a program, you're really starting from scratch.
Yeah,
Which,
I have good.
which I knew that, but I didn't know that. So you really are training while you're using it. So to go from one platform to another. Now I use ChatGPT and Claude. I don't use Claude as much, but I definitely use it. Um, to go to a third and having to start from scratch is
Yeah.
not something not not something that I really contemplated. Like, you cannot believe. So every minute on whatever platform you use, I don't care, is a investment in building a rapport or relationship with that model that only benefits you more in time and productivity and strategic planning. It's not a one-to-one. And I was like, wow,
Mm.
that was really impactful to me to say I've invested over a year into ChatGPT and it has really learned how I think.
Oh
Okay,
yeah.
that's kind of scary.
No, no. Well, I mean, yes and no. I mean, it is, but it also is what it is. So I have a thread that I call I Rob, and I've been doing the same thing for a year now, and it is so cool. Just this morning, for example, we were talking about the theory of constraints in a business development team, and I was able to ask it, "Hey, the theory of constraints, how does it relate to my active engagement model?" And let's step back for 1 second. I've actually built a framework, my own framework that I call active engagement, to encapsulate all of the things that I do for my business, right? And so I'm able to query that Rob AI model or iRob model and ask it, hey, the theory of constraints, how does this apply to my framework? And it tells me. It's like, oh yeah, that syncs perfectly. And in fact, you're already practicing that through the OODA loop, it told me, and through the observational state and the data gathering capabilities that you are already implementing. That's how you. So from a strategic point of view, you're right. It it exists. It can be kind of scary to think about it in that form, or it can also be empowering. It is the ultimate. Uh, Never gets tired. It will always respond, subject to hallucinations once in a while. But even that, I haven't had that in months. Haven't had seen one of those in months. But it will always respond in how it's trained to respond. I'm looking forward to it. So, have you heard about the humane pin?
I think you've mentioned it.
Okay. So there is a pin that's being shipped this month, actually. They're going out this month, and it's an AI pin. And it's a device that you wear, kind of like a tricorder, or not? What do they call that thing for the
Yeah.
Star Trek?
Contract. Yeah. I know.
What was it called? Okay, the comm pin for lack of a better, it's a comm pin, right? And has a little light. So if you see me rocking a pager style device on my lapel, just know that's my humane pin. I'm going to call it Apollo, the god of information, right? But it's going. You're going to be able to have that model exported right there. And it can be listening, it can be observing the world because it has a camera and a microphone, and it will be, hey, it, can you imagine the implications of that? I don't think we can even imagine them quite yet. Knowing all it knows about me, it'll see a billboard and it'll be like, "Hey, Rob, I see a billboard that Rob, would not pay attention to, right? Because it's noise for me now, right? But that algorithm will see that. Hey, that you might call that person. They might, that segues into what you're doing, or be on the treadmill running, and it will be able to incorporate your heart rate into and the songs into the model that you've built, and it'll be like, hey, I happen to know when you play this song, you get an extra boost of speed, and how does that tie into your active engagement model that you've built? Maybe it'll be able to synthesize knowledge like that we cannot get to because of our busy days and lives. I feel like I'm going down a rabbit hole of strategy, but pulling it back a little bit to the business aspect of it, I've used that to build that similar model to that you have, and I use that every day. I talk to it every day. Hey, I'm thinking about this idea, or hey, what should we do? And I would say that any business owner that is not doing that in some capacity is getting left behind. It is an incredible business coach.
Well, and I totally think now, like, a year later how much better things are. I mean, it, and there's a new tool coming out all the time, which is better, faster, whatever. But in terms of just the use for your business, how much better it is. Because literally, I've been training an employee for the last year. I've been training an employee for the last year. And what is that worth? Well, it cost me 20 bucks a month. So $120. And it's getting smarter and smarter as I train it and spend more time with it. So the advantage from a strategic point is the strategy that you can use to grow your business, to grow your sales, to grow your marketing, to use it to just grow your business, just on business growth, is so phenomenal because your responses are so much better because you've been training it for a year. And that can't be underestimated, which 6 months ago, I never even thought about that. But now that I've tried a different platform and I'm comparing them, I'm seeing the value of the time spent. Like, not only are you getting the answers, of course, but the training that's going on is just an added benefit.
I agree. It's just, and it's the scalability of it is just phenomenal. The scalability and the use cases of it. So it has helped me as a business owner focus a lens, uh, and that is I've found all years worth of information, and I routinely ask it now. Every couple of days, I'll just say, "Hey, let's just remind me what is the essence of iRob? What is the lens? One sentence lens." And it comes back and it tells me some variation of this following sentiment: You are driven to identify and help businesses implement the ideas behind principles. And so, whenever I write now, I try to look at it from the lens of how does this content that I'm writing help a business owner implement technology or systems or whatever I'm writing. But that one sentence has helped me focus so much and gain clients, which again, as business owners, is the number one implementation. Just thinking this morning, or in this BDT too, uh, it allows us to scale to some point. I was talking to a gentleman about marketing and how marketing resonates with people, and I realized I am at a point now where I could, because of AI and where I've gotten with it, I can actually implement the avatars of okay,
Mhm.
uh, you know. Uh, I need to be looking and saying, who am I talking to? Now I've focused my message, right? But now I need to, from my lens, what works for me. But now I need to turn it around and I need to be very specific about, okay, wait a minute. I'm talking to somebody who's bored out of tears by numbers, right? Then my numbers approach isn't going to work. Anyway, I'm at a point where I need to shift and look at it for avatars.
Well, and I think too, it one of the things that's helped me with in my strategic planning is I know what I'm good at and what I'm not. So I don't try to get better at what I'm not good at. I just put it into AI. I don't need to be a numbers person. I just need to be able to upload the data, ask the right question, and I'm going to get a response. And it's so funny because um, I have Gabe that works for me, and I always call him my millennial brain because he's just really smart. And I was being sarcastic with him today because I said, I don't need you as much as I used to. I just have AI do it for me. And what I have it do for me is all the things I don't like to do. I don't make spreadsheets anymore. I have AI do it for me. I don't analyze my sales or my financials. I have AI do it for me. And just to incorporate that into your workflow is such a time saver. I used to just spend so much time, looking at the data and try to analyze it and figure it out and make decisions based on that. And instead of hours, it's minutes. And instead of minutes, it's seconds. And the ability to make decisions based on data, facts, actual data is,
Oh yeah,
yeah, is such a game
it's
changer for
it,
business.
it, it is. It's a tool in the toolbox that helps you iterate faster. There's a framework um, called the OODA loop that I talk about a lot, and it stands for it's a mental model. And as a business owner, this is what I run my mental model through. My favorite framework: observe, orient, decide, act. So in the observation phase, you gather data. You gather insights on the market. You gather all these data points, right? And then you ask those questions about the market that you're in. Then you orient to that data that you're gathering. And to use an example of, let's use real estate. I'll pick on real estate for a little bit here. I have built dashboards that allow me to parse the market like nobody else. I can algorithmically parse the market and pull up data on demand that puts me in the know of the exact what's happening in the market right now from a data perspective, right? So then I orient to that data, and that means I adjust my mental models, my framework. If the pricing trend is down, right, then that's going to inform my. I'm not going to go on social media and say the pricing trend is up because it's not true, right?
Right.
Uh, but also helps me identify when folks are doing that. I'll see people out there, oh, prices are going up. Actually, as a market whole, it's not true, right? So you can adjust and orient, you observe, you orient, then you make a decision, then you act, right? It's quite deep, much deeper than that. But for our purposes here, AI lets you what we call iterate over the OODA loop faster. So you can execute the OODA loop faster. And the key with that is if you execute your OODA loop faster, you will win the fight. I might have used this example before, but here's a funny example of what Pepsi did to Coke back in the day. They used the OODA loop and they put out an ad, and they had this little guy toddling up to a vending machine, and he put a couple quarters in, and he got a Coke. He got a Coke. It's a Pepsi ad though, and he got a Coke, right? And then he sets the Coke down on the ground. Then he puts another couple quarters in, and he gets another Coke. And people are wondering, why is he buying Cokes for a Pepsi commercial? Then he steps on the two Cokes. They give him just enough height to push the Pepsi button that's on top, and he orders a Pepsi, and he cracks open a Pepsi and drinks Pepsi. Pepsi Coke spent many hours and a lot of money to come up with a counter ad to that, right? Pepsi iterated over the OODA loop faster, knocked their opponent back, and put them on the defensive. And so that's the key. One of the key elements of the OODA loop is the faster you iterate and act, then your opponent, your business competitor, responds to you. And so the faster you iterate, the better tools you have, and that's where this is all going. The faster you can iterate and execute your OODA loop, the more your opponent and your competitors will be reacting to your marketing and your plans versus the opposite. So
And I love
that
that because I think we're in an environment, you know, I mean, business business is changing and it's changing at a rapid space. And I was listening to something last night about in 5 to 7 years, over 90% of businesses will be utilizing AI in some capacity. And I just think, now's the time to really incorporate it because the longer you wait, the competition is not waiting. Your competition is not waiting. They're in it. And the longer you wait, it's going to be harder to catch up. And it goes back to my example of using Chat GPT. I had no idea the benefit a year later that I'm training a model to know me. So I have to do less work to get the answers that I want. I mean, that's the reality.
and literally you couldn't have known. You literally, so there's another framework that I think about a lot called the adjacent possible, and bear with this tangent here, but Charles Babbage is the father of the modern computer as we know it, right? He envisioned this idea of a modern computer. The entire world could have come together, and if he could make that happen, the entire world's resources could have come together to support his implementation of the modern computer, and it still would not have happened. It was literally an impossibility for his era to build a modern computer. We needed to have several achievements to get there, the microprocessors, etc. So his vision of the modern computer was not what we call adjacently possible. Now with the development of microprocessors, it became possible. So before ChatGPT and even fielding it, we could not know what was going to be adjacently possible because we've never been there before, right? And so as this tool and it's a reinforcing loop too. As we develop the tool and we learn how to use it, that steers the ship. It's also, you could even argue there's some kind of Schrodinger's, or was it Schrodinger's cat? Yeah, kind of, and quantum physics at play, right? Because there's the double slit experiment where the waveform acts differently under observation. Just the act of observing the experiment causes a different result. And so I think we're getting metaphysical here, but you couldn't have known how ChatGPT. None of us could have. Even ChatGPT doesn't know what the next iteration is going to look like.
Right. Yeah.
They're by their own admission, they're talking about, we're developing this technology. It's fascinating stuff.
Well, and you think too, like, and we've talked about this before, how much better it's gotten with each version. But if you think about the time you've put in with ChatGPT and the better response that you're getting compared to a business owner that's not doing anything, that time just, what's the word? Just expands, just gets bigger while the other business owner isn't engaging at all. So you're beating out your competition at such a quicker pace because you're putting the time in. It's almost exponential because as the program gets better, as we get more whatever Chat GPT 5 that's coming, it's not going to wipe out the knowledge that you've already put in it or the things. It's just going to enhance it. So that's another way that you're beating your competition, because as the programs get better, and let me just use, I'm using a new image program. Crazy. You put in a prompt, you get 4 images instantaneously, and then you can select the type of image you want: a poster, a 3D rendering, a painting. Like there's 6 options. So you think back 7-8 months ago, DALL-E was very basic, and I know there are other programs that were much better, but now you're getting 4 images within 20-30 seconds. You're selecting the type of image that you want, and then you just pick it. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, I just happened to hear about this, and I was like, man, I'm going to try that. I bet you I spent 2 hours on it Sunday afternoon just putting in prompts to see what it would create. And to have that type of product available to you within 30 seconds is going to be a game changer for every business, because you have products. If you're selling widgets, you can take a picture of them and make it look engaging and marketable. No problem.
Yep. It is. Yeah. It's. Yep. People are very rightly, concerned about things and the speed of which this is going and the development. But I would submit it is going to open up things that give you freedom to pursue other endeavors, and don't be afraid of losing the minutia of the job to AI. I just personally, I'm a programmer, right? And ChatGPT can, if you ask it correctly, it can build websites for you, right? It spell out the code for the websites. So that has allowed me to scale beyond spending the couple hours of doing the boilerplate code for a website. Now I have a template that it helps with, and then I can build out that template. But that's allowed me to get to working on a project for a company that, when implemented, will save the CEO of this company 5 to 7.5 hours a week of his time. But I couldn't get there if I was still writing boilerplate code. So this is going to open up things that are adjacently possible. It is already doing so, but it's going to continue to do so. We just don't know. We just can't know what that looks like. But I think it's going to be a generally good thing. Adjacently possible. So I guess if we roll it back to the business owners, from a strategic point of view, get in there and start talking to ChatGPT about your business, and literally go to ChatGPT, type ChatGPT in Google, go to the website, log in, create an account, and start asking it questions. Hey, I'm a business owner in X industry. and literally ask, hey, what, I've said literally a lot, but get in there and ask, what do I need to know about you? How do I use you to help my business? And go from there.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
In total, whatever your priority is, growth, whatever growth means, increase sales, whatever that means, start a marketing campaign, whatever that means for your business, that's your starting point. Just start the conversation, and the ideas that you're going to get just spawn more ideas and more engagement. And that's what it's for. I mean, the more you engage, the better it gets.
Agreed. So got to get in and engage. I think that'd be a to cap my card. Engage.
All right. I want to
Engage in the
bring
word. Okay.
up our
Oh yeah.
workshop that's coming up, AI
Yeah.
and Reach. And that's going to be April 30th at the Hampton Inn and Suites. And when we say workshop, we actually do mean workshop. We want you to bring your computer. We are covering custom instructions. We're covering sales, how to increase sales, strategy, and we're covering customer service. And customer service is huge right now in the AI world. I was just reading an article about hospitals and how they're improving their customer service with AI, which that's great and needed. So we're going to have 4 speakers. It's $39. If you're a BNI member, we give a discount for that. It'll be approximately 4 hours, and you're going to walk out with content and strategies and learn how to do images. So it's power packed. If you want more information, please leave a comment, or you can go to Your AI Wizards website, youraiwizards.com, or you can email me, joy@youraiwizards.com.
Yep. I want to emphasize that you will walk out of there with tools that you can implement that day in your business. That's the whole. That's one of Joy's and I's focuses is moving from the theoretical and the abstract to how do I use this as a business owner right now to help my business.
And that's why we want you to bring a computer, because we are going to do hands-on, face-to-face activities to help your business grow.
Let's do it.
All right.
Sounds good. Thank you. Good chatting.
All right. We'll see you next week.
See you next week. Bye.
Bye.